The latest and greatest was on full display in the annual press-only event known as E3. E3 is often a litmus test to see the current state of video games, and ultimately it's our biggest indicator as fans to see if what's on the horizon is actually worth investing in. This year's E3 didn't have the anticipation that comes with, say, a brand new console release, but there were some pleasant surprises, odd moments, and the annual reminder that Shigeru Miyamoto is, in fact, not dead. So on this episode, we recap the Electronic Entertainment Expo, next on Downloadable Content. Hello everyone, welcome to Downloadable Content. I'm Brian, and with me we have Ron.
Hey everyone.
We have Andy.
I'm still alive.
Well, and like Miyamoto, who only makes his appearance once a year, we have Joshie making his yearly appearance.
I live.
I die. I live again. From the other side of the pond to bring us our annual British perspective.
Look, these phone calls are expensive.
But you're on Skype.
What's that?
A piece of trash that somehow we're all still on.
It was a buggy program that Microsoft bought and made it more crappy. So
Awesome.
excellent. Just the kind of wonderful things we do on this program. But yes, we are going to talk about this year's E3, give you our thoughts, our sarcastic wit, biting opinions, sharp commentary. I think we'll find out.
Can I start out with the biting comments now? E3, where one of two things happens: either all the nerds there have an orgasm, or they find out that a certain company has done X, Y, and Z to their video game, and so they go and grab all their pitchforks and torches and says, "Burn, Nintendo!"
Why is it always Nintendo? But curb your enthusiasm just a little bit, Andy. We'll dive into that. Let me just get the plugs out of the way first. So, before we dive in, just want to remind everyone that downloadable content can be found on our shiny, non-pollutionary, vegan-free, gluten-free website at www.dlcpodcast.com. You can get every single episode, take a look at what most of us look like, check out our upcoming recording schedule if you want to be on an episode, or you can send us feedback, let us know how we're doing, give us ideas for future episodes. It's all there. Again, dlcpodcast.com. And oh yeah, Joshie has a gaming site as well. You're going to want to check out Gaming with Lemons, which sounds like a fish dish.
It's delicious.
Lemon party.
And good for you too. Is that gamingwithlemons.com?
That's the one.
That is it. All right. Joshie was busy all of E3 putting up every single trailer known to mankind.
I put up the good trailers. I wouldn't say I put up every trailer.
So like 3 of them is what you're saying.
But no, he put up more than 3. I kept checking. I said my Facebook feed kept lighting up with all the different trailers and whatnot. So we are going to dive in, and typically what I do on the E3 episode is I usually go in order of the press conferences. I was on Cape Cod on the weekend before E3, so I'm looking at all the news coming out of these pre-E3 press conferences, and I'm like, wait a minute, doesn't E3 actually start midweek? What are all these, what are all these, because it seemed like the pre-conferences, gave us more information than the actual E3.
It's funny, because part of that is the setup for like the actual conference, because it takes more than a day to set up all that lights and glitz and PVC piping, and they were in LA, right? There's always LA.
It's always LA.
Yeah, the LA Convention Center. So it's like it takes more than a day, and apparently no one thought that they should maybe put in a cell phone jammer or something like that to stop people from taking pictures or making phone calls, which is how all this information got out, because everyone's phone also has access to Twitter.
And they put freaking cell phone blockers in movie theaters, for fuck's sake. You can't. The Vatican has cell phone blockers.
It was really weird this year in that some companies just started announcing shit themselves.
Yeah.
We got this close. It hasn't been leaked yet. Let's just tell everybody now.
So the first bit of major news that I saw while I was on vacation, limited internet. So on the very, very rare moments where T-Mobile actually gave me a signal, I could check out the goings on. So I'm going to start with the Bethesda one first. Bethesda conference, the first little bit of news I saw, which very, very, very rightly pissed me the fuck off, was the announcement that Skyrim was getting a remaster. Now...
Okay, I gotta interrupt you there for 2 seconds, first for one question.
You're gonna cut in on my rant, so go ahead. I'll let you go.
Skyrim, is it worth getting... Okay, first off, background content that you can all burn me at the stake for. I'm still only on Oblivion, so do I get the current actual Skyrim that's been out for 3 years, or should I wait until the one that this remastered that they just announced? Should I get that one?
This is really easy. Do you have a PC?
Yes.
You should buy it on PC because the mods have been available for years that make it look as good as it will on PS4.
Okay, here's the thing. The digital remastering that they're doing is just making it so that they can run on a PS4 and an Xbox One. There are mods available on the PC that make the game look even better than the PS4 and the Xbox One version.
Yeah, but if I have it for PC, then why don't I just go with Elder Scrolls Online?
Because that's dog shit.
Okay.
Serious answer to your question. All they're doing with this remastered version is making it pretty for the current console. So, if you have it on PC, it is. If you want to get it on a PC, I suggest you go that route because,
and it's so cheap. It's on sale all the time.
It is. Yeah, I got the Legendary Edition on a Steam sale, and the Legendary Edition comes with all of the DLC. It was like $10.
This is a product nobody asked for. If they were going to remaster something, why didn't they do Morrowind or one of the older ones that would actually benefit from updates?
Because that's their emergency button. That's their rush button for making money.
That's their.
Well, the problem is Skyrim was such a bigger hit than the other Elder Scroll games that it's the one everybody knows.
Yeah, it's the one everyone has played too.
Yeah.
Except for this guy over here, but that's another story. I'm in Oblivion land.
And that's fine. But obviously it pissed me off because, again, this was not... This... When I saw the news that Skyrim was getting a remaster, and, I kind of apologize for all of the listeners out there who are looking forward to this, who were overjoyed by the news, but... when I saw the news, I immediately wrote off some angry thing on my Facebook that was something to the tune of, "Oh, Bethesda's putting out the Elder Scrolls Cash Grab Edition."
I mean, to be fair to people who are looking forward to it, gaming PCs do cost a lot of money. If you only have a console and you miss Skyrim or you really loved Skyrim, that there is an audience for it. But you are right. It is a heck of a cash grab.
Because the only thing that's being done to it are graphical modifications, and if you already have this game on PC, then you basically are all set.
That's not strictly true for people who played only the console version. And if you remember, the PS3 version was fucking awful. But the new PS4, Xbox One version has mod support, which is more than just graphical updates. You can do other crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could have, basically Thomas the Tank Engine in place of dragons. Things like that. But it wasn't just... that wasn't the big reason that it annoyed me so much. It was the fact that it reminded me of what happened with The Last of Us, where it got a remastered version, 4 seconds after the original game came out? Something like that?
Yeah, that was basically made because the PS4 didn't have PS3 backwards compatibility.
Yeah, that was like the only reason for that.
So, I mean, while I find it not quite as offensible if a company is remastering a game from 20 years ago, fine, that's all right. I can live with that. But Skyrim came out 4 years ago. Why?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Be as excited as you want about the Final Fantasy XII remaster, but don't buy Skyrim.
I was going to say, when do we get to that remastering of Final Fantasy XII?
Yeah, I saw that, announcement just quickly flash, but we will get there when we get there. I didn't even know that there was another nebulous version of Final Fantasy XII out there that apparently the US never got.
Again, Japan being Japan, they released a quote-unquote international edition, and then just never put it out in the US.
It's a very weird naming thing. What they actually mean by that is they took all the features added to the international version, but then they add more shit, so it makes no sense.
That's basically my reaction to that.
There's not much else to that story. I'm glad it's being remastered because that's the only game in the series that's never been on another platform, and my PS2 barely works.
Well, it's after 15 years. It's all right.
Of course, also like I still have not beat the original Final Fantasy XII. I have it sitting on my shelf, but I forget where I got stuck and just stopped playing.
Well, you'll just have to restart it then.
No!
But other things that Bethesda announced, we have another entry for Dishonored. We have the reboot for Prey.
Prey 2 is finally back, and it's called Prey.
And by the way, add Dishonored to another game that I have not beaten yet, mostly because I'm sure I'm in the part where everybody gets stuck, and that's the for those who have played it, the Palace Raid.
We have more Fallout stuff, which is basically the Elder Scrolls post-apocalyptic version. At least that's what I get out of it. We have Quake. Quake Champions.
Yep.
I think after the success of Doom, bringing Quake back is pretty cool.
I agree. I can agree with that.
Quake's probably been one of my favorite FPS games, specifically Quake 3 Arena.
I was definitely a Quake guy, not a Doom guy, so I'm actually pretty excited about this.
Well, I mean, I was never... FPSs as a whole was never really my thing. It's a game, it's a genre of game that I don't play very often, largely because, I don't find many of them interesting, but also they give me terrible motion sickness. Like, I'll get pounding headaches.
That's pretty awful. I have the reverse problem, which is I'm just terrible at them.
Yeah, same problem right here. Mostly because I'm the OCD guy who needs to get that exact headshot, and I can't aim worth crap.
Yeah, well,
boom, headshot.
That'll happen. And there was apparently, and I must have missed this. Apparently, Bethesda threw out a little tease for a new Wolfenstein.
I didn't see that. I watched their press conference.
Apparently, there was like a split second, image during the Quake trailer.
Okay.
What?
The official site I'm using here doesn't says anything about Wolfenstein unless it's got a name in front of it that's not Wolfenstein.
Oh, there was a split-second image during the Quake trailer that refers to something called the new Colossus.
Oh, I see.
So...
Oh, it's in the, they had a DOS prompt come up at some point.
Ah!
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they had DOS prompt from, like, literally loading Quake from, as you were loading it from, like, DOS 3.0.
So it's got things listed in here like Doom, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 4. Then you've got New Order, Old Blood, which are both Wolfenstein games. And under that, you've got New Colossus, which doesn't have a date next to it.
Dun, dun, dun.
So it's a very clever little tease. But
I also like
natural.
I also like how when it listed the space available on that supposed hard drive, it went into the literal, like, what's the number after trillion? Quadrillion?
Yeah.
Quadrillion, like 1.5 quadrillion bytes.
Brilliant.
With 8 million P graphics. So for me personally, nothing really jumping out from Bethesda, because I didn't see really anything that made me go, I'm really looking forward to that. But you guys might have different opinions.
I think the biggest thing was that people were hoping that they would have a similar sort of thing like they had last year, where it was like, we only have 3 games, but all these games are really freaking good, and we're going to spend a half hour talking about them. Compared to this year, where it's like, hey, we have like 7 or 8 games, but they're all kind of meh, and some of them don't even exist.
I find it very odd that they have their own press conference still. I kind of understood it last year when they had Fallout, which was such a big deal.
Yeah.
But they don't really have enough games to carry that kind of weight. They should have just sent Dishonored 2 and Quake to one of the other conferences.
Yeah, like if they had said, hey, we're going to have our own booth and we'll be on Twitch and talk about the games that we're making other than these big titles of big champions.
Somebody else only had 1 game and they still took the time.
Okay, to be fair, they had 2 games and we'll get into that later. But like, they could have done like Quake Champions during the PC gaming section and then did Dishonored or for Microsoft or Sony or whichever one of them paid more, because obviously they've already said that's going to be on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I do think actually the fact that they announced that there was going to be a VR version of Fallout 4 is kind of interesting.
Is it all of Fallout 4? Or is it like some experience crap?
I don't know. My understanding is that it was the entire game.
Huh.
Because I believe he had said, like, this is going to be the Fallout 4. You can go into the Red Rocket. You can go explore all of the Boston Commonwealth.
That's interesting.
You know, since you guys brought up VR, do you guys think that in gaming, I mean, this probably is better reserved for another podcast, but food for thought, do you think that VR, I mean, I know they've been pushing it for God knows how long, but since our technology is finally catching up, do you think VR actually has a chance of becoming the next big gaming thing?
Go ahead.
You go first.
You go ahead.
Alright, I am massively skeptical of VR while it's still massive ski goggles on your head.
Right.
But the power that's required behind that, the expense behind it, the technology is clearly getting there, but it's still so way off.
Because I've seen, courtesy of various YouTubers, that some stuff like the Oculus Rift, it does look freaking amazing. But the technology, it's got to be expensive, like Alienware level expensive at this point.
And it has a whole other realm of problems, like, are you just going to sit there in your VR world while your family is going around you? like the social implications of it are so problematic.
That is true. Heck, next thing you know is to go on the for all the any anime viewers out there. Yes, we are getting one step closer to Sword Art Online.
You will enjoy that a booth at E3 this year was showing off VR porn.
Yeah,
I was gonna say.
I was gonna say the porn industry must is gonna latch onto this like crazy, but
I'm sure it's the life.
Yeah, Brian, they had a very simple booth at E3. It was simply called Naughty America, and there was a VR tech demo of like point of view porn.
Oh, to throw this out there, guess what? It's already here in Japan. Not even kidding. There's this virtual reality suit for to bring on the pleasure. I one of the forums that I frequent. Whole link to it.
Oh well. Whatever.
So it's already here. Japan.
Whatever you do in your spare time, Andy. Whatever.
Just because we're on the subject, and it makes sense now. That VR demo for Final Fantasy 15 looked horrifically bad.
Oh my god, it looked so terrible.
And basically, as far as I could tell, the point was to look at the female Cid's boobs.
It kind of was, unfortunately.
And then it was like a really bad shooter.
Yeah, it was looking at her boobs and an on-rails shooter with like the gun guy of the four bros running around in their car.
No. And I'm still gonna buy Final Fantasy 15.
Well,
there may be one.
You do that. Let me know how it is, because at this point I'm still not convinced to actually buy a PS4. But anyway,
Hey, it can't be any worse than Final Fantasy 13.
Well, yeah, that's true. They can only go up. Moving along, we'll move on to everyone's. We'll go on to everyone's favorite video game developer, EA.
Yay!
Oh yay!
Yay! Oh yay! EA.
So
go.
I just want to interject here, because this is probably my favorite part of E3. Is after the EA press conference, they were broadcasting this live stream of Battlefield 1. And the whole point was that it was this massive demo of 32 players versus 32 players, and they got all these celebrities in. And they had this poor guy who had to interview these celebrities on the red carpet and ask them about Battlefield, which clearly half of them didn't know anything about. And they bloody invited Snoop Dogg to the thing.
I saw that image. There's an image online.
In the interview, the guy is like asking him, "So, have you got some big plan?" It's like, "Yeah, we brought a secret weapon," and then later on, it just cuts to him smoking while he's playing the game.
Yep. Oh, that was hysterical.
There's another clip where you can see the leaderboard for the whole team, and out of 32 players, he's 32nd.
Wow!
Bravo.
I was delighted.
Why can't you just do like a random drawing of the people that are in the audience and being like, hey, before you leave, check underneath your seat, and if you happen to have like the Goldie controller under there, like just sit in your seat or like go off to the side. We'll talk with you guys in a moment. And like just do it that way, because I would bet you that those random people will be more excited than the goddamn celebrities you paid $10,000 to show up for.
Some of the other interviews were also incredible. There was like one guy who he just went on about a tank because he'd clearly seen that the game had tanks in it. And then the next guy also went on about tanks because he'd heard the first interview.
EA's not known for their ingenuity or...
It must have sounded so good when they were planning it.
Yeah, well...
Execution, my dear.
Well, you guys have seen that old comic about each of the video game companies and how they're represented as, how they're personified. And EA is always that rich guy who doesn't seem to know what he's doing, or I don't remember the exact personality EA was given, but it was something about that rich friend who you're he's there, but you kind of try and keep your distance from, or something like that.
you don't mind him being around, but you kind of like wonder when he's gonna lose all his money and just be worthless.
Go home, EA. You're drunk.
Yeah.
So EA was showing off. You had Battlefield 1. You had Titanfall 2. Like, oh, all right.
So
it's not a single player this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2, aka the prequel to Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
Like they're adding things in the second game that should have been in the first, and even then, it sounds like it's going to have the same issue that number 1 had, in that it's like you're going to play it for 2 weeks and then you're going to forget about it entirely.
Well, seeing as I have not played the first game, enlighten me.
Well, I haven't even played the first game, but from whatever I saw of it, it was like people are playing it, they're having fun with it, and then they realize there's literally only 2 game modes and 3 maps. And dropping a mech on someone's head and then it's shooting out of said mech is only enjoyable for so long.
The mech combat looks so cool, but from what I heard, it sounds really hard to balance a game with mechs and people running around. One of them is going to be more overpowered than the other, and the game just had a sufficient lack of content. There was just nothing to do.
Well.
Maybe a single-player campaign will at least do the Call of Duty fun 8-hour roller coaster thing, but the trailer does look pretty cool. It's got like this kind of intelligent mech talking to you thing going on.
Yeah, it's got this VI like mech talking to you, and it's like trying to get the mech a bit of personality, and it's like, sure, cool, fine. That's fine, but are you actually going to have some substance behind all this fluff?
That remains to be seen, and of course, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Another thing where BioWare shows up and goes, "We swear to God, we're still working on this. Please, please, please."
Didn't it seem like they showed so little for a game coming out next year?
Oh yeah, like they showed.
That's apparently been in development for some years.
Yeah, like from what I saw, and this is just my opinion, it looked like alpha footage in terms of like some of the gameplay stuff that they showed. And it's like, you guys have been working on this since like 2012.
Yeah.
And you're only now having alpha footage being able to be shown.
I mean, I'm certainly excited for a new Mass Effect. I can't wait for it, but
until then, they've
I'm
forced you to buy all the
highly
DLC.
suspicious.
Yeah,
I'm highly suspicious that it will come out next year.
If it comes out next year, it's literally going to be like a December 1st, December 2nd release. There's no way in hell this game comes out anytime before holiday 2017.
I mean, keep in mind that EA was the press conference last year that was basically like tech demos and dreams. They didn't have anything to show.
Yeah.
And they're saying Mass Effect is nearly done in that time period.
Yeah. They go literally from concept art and like 2 renders in the Frostbite engine to showing off alpha gameplay footage and some of the beginning concepts of some of the cinematic scenes. It's like, okay, cool, but you guys probably need another 18 months to 2 years at the least.
Yeah, I mean, this can't even be, oh, we're keeping it all a secret to surprise everybody. You wouldn't have shown drawings last year if you had something to show.
Yeah, and they showed similar things this year, where it's like more cinematic pieces, more still images. They showed the live capture, motion capture stuff.
Yeah, exactly. When your trailer opens on like a programmer sitting in front of a computer, you don't have a finished game.
Yeah, there's definitely there's always, again, as BioWare, there's always a chance they're gonna hit it out of the park. But oh dear God, all they're showing so far is looking very, very not good.
And if it does come out next year, I'm really worried they're just rushing it.
Yeah, And I bet you that they are going to be rushing it because they're going to be forced to doing so by EA, who are saying, hey, you guys have been working on this game for 5 years, literally. Are you ever going to release it? Because if you don't, we're going to pull our funding.
Oh, noes. But
again, as you were saying about that personification, EA, they're the rich guys, but when are they going to run out of money? Because it sounds like they're going to run out of money for Mass Effect at this rate.
But don't worry, because they'll have 12,000 Star Wars games.
Oh,
which I saw that and I went, yay.
There's Battlefront, which has got DLC this year, and there will clearly be another one next year. There's the Amy Hennig one, which is some kind of story game. There's the Lego Star Wars. How many Star Wars games do you need to release in a single year?
There's the Star Wars The Old Republic bullshit too.
Yes.
You know,
that's still going.
Yeah, that's still going.
If you guys have you guys any of you played Knights of the Old Republic or any of those games there? Because I wanted to pick up a new Star Wars game. I've only played one, and this was well over 10 years ago. Star Wars. I want to say it was like Dark Forces 2 or something or other. Love that game. Have not been able to find another decent Star Wars game yet. And I'm kind of don't know whether I should pick up Knights of the Old Republic or not.
Okay, Knights of the Old Republic is like a BioWare again, right? I want to say it was BioWare.
Well, they named half their studios BioWare, so who knows?
Yeah, but like Knights of the Old Republic was the freaking 2002, 2003 PC game. And that was fine. Like, you picked it up, you'd probably enjoy it. Again, the issue is that we're currently in the Star Wars deluge right now from all the Episode 7 and leading up into Episode 8 stuff.
Rogue One's going to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, eventually, assuming that movie ever comes out. It's just an issue right now that's like everyone, like, all the game studios are trying to get in on the Star Wars hype, and just like none of them are making anything worth of actual substance.
People like Battlefront, Battlefield, whatever it's called.
Battle this, battle that. I actually kind of lost interest because I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I'm wondering if there's a few Lego Star Wars games thrown in there as well.
Yeah, there's Lego Star Wars.
And even better, they're going to make one for every film this time.
Yeah, they've got a Star Wars Episode 7 Lego version coming out later. No, it's coming out literally in a week or two, because this was something that was already made ahead of time and was announced last year, and they're just only now really getting out to actually putting it out after E3.
They really timed that well with the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, goody. Merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
So, EA did have one cool looking game, which was called Fee, or Fe. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum.
It's some abstract, cute looking indie game. God knows what the game is, but it looks cool.
That was basically, I agree, that was the highlight for me as well, because I'm looking at some of the trailers, so I'm like, okay, Battlefield, Titanfall, Mass Effect, Andromeda, okay, Star Wars, yeah, FIFA, Madden, ooh, what's this?
Like, I'm going to give the guy credit. He is obviously very nervous coming onto the stage, but he handled himself pretty well, I thought.
I thought so too, and just looking at the game, just from the trailer, my first thought was somebody took the Z targeting mechanic from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and made an entire game out of it.
You're probably not wrong, but
it looks fascinating.
It looks interesting. This looks like a mix of like platforming, exploration, with a little bit of stealth.
Ooh, I might actually have an interest. Oh, I'm excited about going off on a completely different tangent here, but when you say platforming, it makes me sad that I'm probably one of the few people left in existence who actually enjoys platform games still.
I will call bullshit on that.
No, it's sad because I was testing a memory card for my old PlayStation 1, which actually still somehow works, and I grabbed one of my favorite games of all time, Spyro. And that's basically a sort of platforming game, and there have been some other things that have platforming elements, but I don't think there's been a game in a very, very long time that is just tons of platform jumping.
You have not.
Collecting crap.
You do not play indie games, do you?
No, I do not.
I'll say you do realize that's like the indie game's #1 genre, right?
That's like
platforming.
That's like
I'm sorry, I'm a slave to the mass corporate video gaming.
I was gonna say, go on Steam sometime.
Go on Steam, look at the indie games. Like almost a third of them are listed under the platforming genre.
Oh, they're you need to get on that, boy.
I usually stay off Steam because
Why?
His wallet doesn't agree with it.
Because I don't need my wallet screaming in pain and agony. I do that with $60 video games for the consoles in the first place. Do you really think I want to do any more with Steam, even with their sale?
Yeah.
But Andy, come join us. It's wonderful to live in a world where you buy a bunch of digital video games and never download them.
And never play them. I mean, like Andy, Shovel Knight. Like
Shovel Knight. Oh god.
Like literally, Shovel Knight is like one of the more premier platformers that have come out in the past couple of years.
Shovel Knight, Battle Block Theater. It's, you know.
Okay, I confess, there's been exactly one game that I've been tempted to shell out cash for, and I'm gonna wait for the collective head desk as soon as I say its name. You ever hear about Honey Pop?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Get out of here.
I'm hanging up now.
I've got the eject button. It's
So
you are the weakest link.
Bye.
Yes, let me pull on this the chain a bit, dragging this back to E3.
So just to finish on EA and FIFA, the one cool thing about that is they announced the new partner program called EA Originals,
yes,
where they're going to try and fund more of these types of games.
I agree.
So credit to EA for that.
I saw that.
Yeah, it sounds like what Square Enix has done. They've made the studio a separate studio. I forget what it starts with Tokyo. I forget the full name of the studio.
I think the thing is literally called Tokyo Studio.
Something like that, where it's that studio, the only thing they do is make like retro style indie games.
Yeah, from what this sounded like, this sounded like where it's actually EA is making a side company and being like they're gonna look at indie games and think of one and look at the ones that they think have potential to be successful, and then we'll give them money and help like get them under the EA naming and branding and like publishing, so that they actually have a budget of marketing instead of it just being your 5 friends that you tell on Facebook that
And
hey,
it does
your new game's
work
coming
because we wouldn't be talking about Fee if it was in the program.
You know, if you guys have to take a guess, is this probably gonna be another a PC game? Because I'm looking at my official, or at least I assume it's an official list here, and the platform it says for Fee is TBA. So is it probably gonna be on PC?
Probably.
I would think so.
I would expect it will be the consoles and probably Origin
with DRM, but
yeah.
So
yeah.
Let's move on. We'll go with let me pull up my list here. We will go next to Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Ooh, Ubisoft.
Just a disclaimer right at the beginning here that I didn't pay attention to anything Ubisoft announced.
Okay, Josh, you're not alone. I did not watch Ubisoft's thing either, just because it's like after 2 or 3 E3s in a row of them being very underwhelming.
Their presentations are always so bad.
Yeah,
it's hard to watch.
Like I don't mind a little bit of cringe, But when you're constantly making me go, oh my god, why are you guys on stage? I can only handle so much, and I just decided that this year I wasn't even going to watch them because it was going to be more of the same. And I'm pretty sure I made the smart decision.
And you did make the smart decision. So I did watch a bit of it. It's always weird seeing Aisha Tyler because I know it's like Lana. But so here's all the riveting stuff you missed. You missed Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. And let's see, you missed the fact that Watch Dogs is getting a sequel.
Oh my god.
Assassin's Creed modern day.
I'm pretty sure they commissioned the Watch Dogs sequel based on pre-order numbers of the first game.
I know, they probably did. It's just
I mean, maybe they can recover that series. The first Assassin's Creed was pretty shit.
It's possible. I mean, Watch Dogs had a decent concept. Like, the idea behind it was sound.
But the main character was awful.
Yeah, the execution of the main character was absolute garbage. And I feel really bad because that took place in my city. Like, the city looked pretty nice.
Didn't care enough to see your own city.
Yeah, I tried playing Watch Dogs for like a couple hours, and I'm like, they did a pretty decent job of rendering Chicago. But, like, everything else just made me, like, there's so much more character I feel they could have gotten out of the city, and they just didn't. Whereas now they're going... L.A.?
It could be LA, but I'm seeing here...
It's San Francisco.
Yeah, because I got an ad for it. Actually, my official site that I'm using is IGN, just to keep track of the games. And it shows the cover for Watch Dog, and there's the Golden Gate Bridge in the picture, so... San Francisco it is.
Alright, so it is San Fran.
Alright, so let's see. We got Ubisoft announced an open world action sports game called Steep.
Okay.
Which looks like it's just going to be 1080 snowboarding.
That's a fair comparison. We've got another South Park game. We got South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
They showed that last year.
I love that title. I don't know why, but I love that title.
Well, now we have a release date.
That's good.
That's good. Yay, December 6th.
I still need to play the last South Park game.
We have a game. I think this is a new game. Yes, it's called For Honor.
They showed that last year too, where it was literally Vikings versus Knights versus Samurai.
Well,
only now they added something like a story to it.
We have a single player mode. Yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
I guess.
I'll check it out, I guess.
We have another Tom Clancy's The Division.
Yeah, updates for their Division game, which was modern day Destiny, basically.
We have another Just Dance game, which will be coming out for NX.
PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Wii U, and Windows. God, they like to haul that shit out.
Oh,
people are still making games for the 360? What?
Well,
somebody's got to buy it. I'm surprised it's not released on the Wii.
It's probably too big for the Virtual Console. But we got Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Now that video I did see and was pretty cool, as long as you don't think about how much having 4 VR headsets costs.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Especially when you have to keep in mind, okay, that's 4 VR headsets. An Oculus Rift requires 4 USB ports. Can a PC power more than one, or is that 4 gaming PCs?
Is this meant to be like an online VR game that you play with your other VR friends?
Yeah, you're on the bridge of a...
I mean, to describe it, they got a load of like Star Trek stars from the Next Generation and stuff.
Yep, LeVar Burton is there.
Basically, it's 4 people sitting in a room, all wearing VR headsets, and they're all like commanding positions on the bridge. The concept is really bloody cool.
It is.
I mean, I'm reading the description on the PC World website, and like the concept of it sounds fine. It's like You have the guy doing it in the engineering. You have the guy doing the weapons. You have a guy doing the shields. You have a guy.
And then you're all shout. It's basically Space Team in VR. You're all shouting to each other.
Yeah, and we know how this is going to end. You're going to crash your starship into the planet, or you're going to crash your starship into the enemy ship.
But unless this has an online mode, no one listening to this is ever going to play it.
Yeah, no one's going to play it unless there's an online mode. If there's an online mode, holy shit. There's the amount of potential footage of like just pure comedy gold coming out of this is endless.
YouTube is going to get flooded. We've got a sequel to the game Grow Home, which is called Grow Up.
What? Grow Up? Hell no.
Yeah, we have another blast from the past. We have Trials of the Blood Dragon.
If you like really stupid action-y scenes and 80s like Terabad B-list movies, boy, do we have a game for you.
So this will basically be Flash Gordon the movie.
Yeah, only the game.
And a couple of
Flash Gordon the movie, the game.
A couple other tidbits from Ubisoft. We apparently they're giving away a free game every month.
Most of your games are mediocre at best.
Then we have a game Eagle Flight, which is multiplayer VR.
Again, that's fine because it's going to be like Pilot Wings, only with VR.
And then they talked a bit about the Assassin's Creed movie.
That looks
I don't know.
bad.
I've seen the trailer. The trailer looks good. The rest of the reports about it are okay. We're gonna have to disagree on that one. I thought it looked amazing.
I was gonna say, you do realize this is a movie trailer, right? Where they're trying to. The whole point of it is to make it look good, when in actuality it's probably gonna be shit.
That's my suspicion. Because again, the trailer to me looks fantastic. All the other reports are saying though, no, it's gonna be shit because here's the kicker: it's set 80% in modern day future and like 20% in the past, which I guess has got a lot of people upset. Personally, in the games, I always thought there was a lot of potential to see what could happen in the future. Yes, exploring the past was nice, but I was always curious about taking your, at least up to Black Flag, and even a little bit in Black Flag 2, about taking your character and seeing how far the Assassins and Templars' influence has spread to modern day and see what role you take in it. And of course, there's Jack for that. Everything is all exploring the past.
Well, like, if you read the lore pieces in Assassin's Creed, it kind of like hints at like conspiracy theory stuff about like Templars controlling like the U.S. government, and the Assassins are like trying to make the people actually be aware of all this stuff. And there's always potential for like eventually when this thing eventually does get cashed out and they decide to close it, they're gonna finish it off with just it being a modern day Assassin's Creed, and
I thought we already had that. It was called Watch Dogs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
I actually thought it was called Metal Gear Solid, but whatever.
That too.
So moving on, and we're going to do one more before we cut to break. So we'll bring in the first of the console makers here. We will close this first half with Microsoft.
Oh, boy.
Oh goody!
I just gotta bring this up. My brother brings this up every other month or so. Is that going way back to my favorite thing about Microsoft? I know why. I think Joshie here wrote this, and we're talking something going back 12 years ago or so. Prize to the idiot in the fifth row suing Microsoft. I don't even remember what the context for that post was, but that's always just been in case of, that's what happens with Microsoft.
Well, Microsoft, I saw this bit of news that, hey, surprise, surprise, another flavor of the Xbox One is coming out.
To the surprise of literally no one.
The Xbox...
So...
Yeah.
So, the whole Xbox One S stuff, they really made that messaging confusing, because everybody, who hasn't just watched the press conference, like the normal populace that I've spoken to, They all think the Xbox One S is the more powerful Xbox.
No, it's the exact same hardware, just smaller.
It's literally Microsoft taking a page from Sony, because Sony always does their PlayStations and they get a slim version, so now Microsoft is jumping on board the same train.
Announcing that they're going to have more powerful hardware in the future and releasing a smaller one at the same time seems like a colossal mistake.
Oops. And apparently, I saw somewhere along the line that it has like keyboard and mouse support, and at that point, I'm like, why don't you just get a PC at this point? Because now, literally, the only difference is the proprietary operating system. It's
so this does kind of link in with the other thing they announced, which was Xbox Play Anywhere, which is a lot of the new games they're going to be releasing are coming out on both platforms, Xbox and PC, and you get access to both, and they play each other and that stuff. So really, they're turning the Xbox One into an easier to play Windows PC.
Yeah, like, it's specifically not even PC, it's specifically Windows 10, which means you have to go buy all this stuff through the Windows Store. And not through Steam.
They really want you to upgrade to Windows 10.
Yeah, they really want you to upgrade to Windows 10.
Please upgrade to Windows 10 so we can data mine your computer.
Exactly.
I know. I have Windows 10 here, and I've personally had no issues with it. Well, other than the Microsoft hijacking my account, but that was because I tried the store. But other than that, also the difference between Xbox and the PC. Xbox is a bit cheaper.
Well, depends on your flavor, but
it's really, the Xbox One Slim is a bad idea.
And then they announced Project Scorpio,
which is their more powerful, mystical future hardware, which it's really interesting because Sony basically announced they're doing the same thing, but they did it before the press conferences.
Yeah, well, they said that they're making. Well, again, the rumor is they're making a PS4 Neo. The idea behind this is that this is going to be for the 4K TVs. Mm-hmm. And then the counterpoint that my brother brought up was, who the hell owns a 4K TV?
Exactly.
I mean, it's almost no one. But the thing I appreciate with both Xbox and PlayStation's intention is this idea that when we upgrade the platform between generations, there's this hard cut, and stuff isn't compatible with the next box unless they do a load of work to make it backwards compatible. And this generation, Sony just failed completely, and Microsoft is slowly drip feeding 360 compatibility out. Whereas the intention with both console makers now is, every few years we'll do this Apple thing of releasing a new generation box, but it's always the same base platform, so your stuff always moves forward, and there will presumably, kind of like with iPhones, where a game will work backwards so many iPhones, the games will continue to be compatible with the old boxes until a certain point. So going forward, you always have your old stuff going back, but if you decide not to upgrade the box, there's like a period of time where you are still compatible, which I think is a better way to do it than releasing a PS5 that the old shit doesn't work on and the new stuff doesn't work on the PS4. That's terrible for everybody.
The counterpoint to that, Joshie, is that this just means that they're spending more money on very small incremental technology increases and making the consumer pay full price for a new console.
Yes,
and the only reason why they do it for the iPhone is because it's got the Apple name on it.
Yeah, well, they're clearly trying. Whether this works or not is another story. And I think the success of it entirely depends upon how often do you release a new box. And if I bought the original Xbox or PS4, how long is it regardless of how many boxes you release, before my box no longer works with new games. And hopefully that will be a long period of time. It may not be. If it's a year, then this is a terrible idea.
Ideally, you were looking at maybe 5 years, I think, before you would have to, quote-unquote, get a new box.
Yeah, I think... But even then, if a PS4 and Xbox One continues to work with all games for 5 years, let's say, I could still then, in 5 years, buy one of the interim boxes, which will be discounted by then.
Yeah, probably.
It all depends how they exactly go about it, and when they're only announcing this new box, it's very hard to see what the long-term plan is.
Yeah, I get you. I think personally, if they're going to do this interim box thing, the main pushing thing behind it is going to be the success of VR and not the success of 4K TVs. Because if there's going to be a big push for VR gaming on the consoles, then the consoles need to be as nearly as beefy as the high-end PCs.
Yeah, I mean, it's very questionable what the performance capabilities of the PlayStation VR stuff is going to be versus the PC stuff, because the PS4 really isn't powerful enough for that stuff.
It's like, it's almost there. It's not quite, but it's like 75% of the way there, and which is part of the reason why we're seeing some of the VR games from Sony being like PS2 to PS3 level graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing you gotta be careful about is that if you are gonna try for pushing stuff on VR for like PlayStation or Xbox and getting them that powerful enough, we're talking it has to be probably at least as powerful as an Alienware laptop, and those go for like what, 1,000 at minimum, maybe a couple thousand for a really good one, which in turn is going to jack up however high. It's going to jack up the cost of a console. And if you guys are probably paying attention when when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One both came out, one was like $500, and then it slowly got dropped down to like 300 or so, and people were throwing a hissy fit about that, saying, "Oh my God, it's so expensive and everything," and that's why I think a lot of people end up choosing, I think PlayStation 4 was super expensive when it came out, and then people switched over to Xbox One because it was a cheaper version. Well, if you want to do the virtual reality with consoles at this point, that means that, that $500 or $400 or however much you paid when it first came out, be prepared to pay twice as much for that if you want to get virtual reality involved.
Well, that's the thing. They never announced pricing for the Scorpio. So the likely thing that's going to happen is they're going to sell both the 1S and the Scorpio at the same time, and the Scorpio is going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
which then you have to buy an Oculus, which it's speculated will be compatible with the Xbox, and then you're spending a lot of money.
Right, it's like buy an Alienware laptop at that point.
It's $300 for an Oculus Rift, isn't it? Or $399?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and then you gotta buy. Let's assume for a moment.
No, I think that's the price of the PlayStation stuff. I want to say Oculus.
I think you're right.
I think they were at least $4.99, and then Vive is $5.99. I'm speculating.
Too much money at any rate.
Anyway, Microsoft also showed video games.
Eventually, they did, after spending almost 25 minutes talking about the 1S and Scorpio.
Yes, and so we've got the lineup of video games. We had another Gears of War 4, yay.
We already knew that was coming.
Marcus has a beard now.
Oh,
no, wrong one. Wrong one, Joshie.
One of them has a beard now.
Yeah. I was going to say, wrong game. That's the wrong company.
We have a game called Sea of Thieves,
which was also shown last year, I think.
That's the Rare game, isn't it?
That's the pirate, like, kitty co-op looking thing.
Which they showed with YouTubers. Ugh.
Scalebound.
Which, potentially, new IP, like action adventure, RPG,
I saw that.
Stuff.
I saw that and I went,
Like action RPG, Devil May Cry stuff. Okay, you have my attention.
Yep, I think you got a good chunk of gamers' attention now.
But the one that got my attention, anything that has the name Keiji Inafune on it, immediately goes, hey! And so we saw. This was one of the trailers I actually watched. Recore.
What is this? I didn't see this. So you have to explain what this is.
You didn't see Recore. Hold on, let me find you the trailer here.
Because I was looking through their thing kind of quickly, so maybe it was like a little minute or 2 minute blurb I just missed.
It's kind of a mashup between Metroid and Mega Man.
All right, hang on.
There you go. Joshie's giving you the link there. He's beating me to it.
Alrighty, let me check this out.
So yes, it's action adventure platforming. And when I saw this trailer, I went, "Oh, that's why Mighty Number 9 has been delayed."
By the way, is there a release date on Mighty Number 9? Is it actually out now, or do we still have to
couple weeks?
Hang on. Is this the same? This is the same developer as Mighty Number 9.
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Why are they not spending all their time on the bloody Kickstarter that they haven't fulfilled yet?
Well, your guess is as good as mine at this point. So while Ron watches the trailer there.
So wait, to go back a moment here, you guys said that the action adventure game that was looking good, like Devil May Cry kind of thing, is called Scalebound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all one word.
Okay, yeah. I'm crying now because I see that as of the posting that I'm looking at, it's only available for going to be available for Xbox One. I am a PlayStation guy, so I'm crying now.
Oh. I almost guarantee you that it's a timed exclusive.
Yeah, my guess is that Scalebound will be a time exclusive.
But I saw this trailer and I went, okay, this is coming out on Recore is coming out on PC and Xbox One.
Xbox One only. I'm gonna cry again now.
Well, again, you do.
Just wait. I know.
Patience, Augustus. Save some room for later. Okay, another Dead Rising game. Yay! Square Enix, demoing Final Fantasy 15 on the Xbox.
Yay!
It was such a bad demo as well. Like, that fight he did it so badly.
Was it wrong to hope that during that demo a blue screen would pop up?
No. No. Like, it's... The Final Fantasy 15 thing is just reeking of... We swear, guys, we're making a good game. Please enjoy our game. Please buy our game.
I hope it's good. I really do.
I hope it's good too. My expectation, though, is that it's not going to be good, and that this is probably going to be the last numbered Final Fantasy game.
We'll see.
I really want them to announce 16 before 15 has come out.
So they announced 16 at Tokyo Game Show, and then 15 comes out, doesn't sell, and then they go bankrupt.
Yeah.
All right. I finished watching this. Okay. On the Recore thing, looks interesting.
I am intrigued.
I am intrigued, but more so in the sense of this looks like a more realistic, like Borderlands platforming exploration kind of thing. If that makes any sort of sense.
Well, I've never played Borderlands, so. So that game got my attention, and then we have what else did they showed the next installment in not Gran Turismo.
Yeah, they showed Forza Horizon 3.
Yep.
Minecraft add-ons and mods.
Yeah, Halo Wars 2, and then the card game based from The Witcher.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I know some friends of mine will greatly enjoy and spend all their money on because they don't understand the concept of a goddamn collectible card game.
Yep.
So
go on.
The one game I really liked from the Microsoft press conference was We Happy Few.
Okay.
That game had such
Yes.
style to it.
I saw that game. The developer for that game was at PAX East, the big video game convention I go to every year, and I could not get on the line. It was like a 3-hour line.
Yeah, this was something that was shown briefly last year, or was it in a Game Informer? I remember reading about it or seeing it somewhere, and I went, "This looks interesting."
I never heard about it. I saw the game. I saw, I could stand outside of the line and watch on these big screens, what the game was about, and it really got my attention.
Hey, We Happy Few says it's going to be on the PS4 at least in the beginning. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, I think it was a multi-platform game to begin with. Like, for those who haven't seen it, the idea behind the game is that you're this like drug trippy guy in this pseudo like 1950s, 1960s location, and you're coming down off the high and realizing just how fucked up your world is.
It's like they're beating a piñata, then he comes down.
He thinks it's a piñata.
It's a dog.
Yeah, he thinks it's
and
a
there's
piñata.
Just blood everywhere.
And mind you, the entire time that the people around him are beating up the piñata is making this like weird squeaking, whelping noise. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, "That's not a piñata. That's not a piñata."
Nope.
And he hits it once, and all of a sudden you hear a squelch, and I'm like, "Oh no!" Also, don't forget that everyone's wearing really creepy masks. They're wearing like these weird Guy Fiore or whatever the play happy mask, like the joy face.
Right.
And that's meant to be their constant face, as in you're always going to be happy.
That's because in the town that this game is set in, they take a drug called joy.
Yeah, they take a drug literally called joy because they feel that people who are, realistic, have negative emotions, are a threat to society, and are literally called downers, and proceed to get hunted down by the jovial British-sounding police of the 1960s and bludgeoned to death for being a quote-unquote downer. And you're literally trying to survive or pretend to fit in.
So I saw that at PAX, and I'm glad it got shown at E3 because I am looking forward to that game when that comes out on PC. Another game. This game makes Wyatt very happy because he liked the first one a lot. State of Decay 2, which is basically survive the zombie apocalypse.
Only with superpowers. I know that there was also like. My understanding was State of Decay, the first one, was a mildly successful hit.
It was.
It had decently solid gameplay and just enough of crunch to the story that made you enjoy the gameplay.
Yeah. It was Wyatt, who was on downloadable content a lot. He loves the first game, and he was so happy when there was the announcement for State of Decay 2. We got Tekken 7.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just did some research. State of Decay has sold over 1 million copies.
Huh.
Not bad.
Not bad, considering that this was a game that came out as a new IP at the beginning of a launch cycle. Like that arguably the first successful IP at a new launch cycle in 10 years, I would say.
Well, we got Tekken 7, which is, again, fighting game. I mean,
It's Tekken.
It's Tekken, yeah, basically. It's just shiny.
Tekken.
Weird for Tekken to be at the Microsoft conference.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. We had a puzzle platformer, Limbo.
That's an old game. I think they just announced that Limbo was available.
Yeah. I'm
free or
like, yeah,
something.
because I saw that. I'm like, I've heard that before. And let's see. We've already mentioned the Xbox Anywhere. They announced basically a design your own controller program.
That's pretty cool. You can get controllers in any color. It probably costs a lot.
Probably.
But
what do you mean? Probably it does. Yeah, you want a color to be like a nice blue, an extra $30, please.
The one really funny thing I saw is you can like type something to be engraved at the bottom of the controller, and they don't restrict the word PlayStation.
But yes, for Microsoft, We Happy Few, that's a game I want to play, and Recore, those are the games that got my attention. So, this was kind of the first slate of announcements that I finally was like, all right. Are they coming out on console only, or are they on PC? Oh, they're coming out for PC. All right, good. I don't need to buy an Xbox One. Good.
Yeah,
no, you do need to use the Windows Store though.
Well, yeah.
At which point your computer's account will be linked forever with your Microsoft account. Been there, done that. It sucks.
Yeah, I understand.
If you have Hotmail, you have a Microsoft account. So
yep.
Yeah.
This is probably the first conference entirely where I thought, okay, this wasn't absolute shit. But it was like 95% shit. They announced like two things I'm actually kind of interested in, and that's about it.
So we have gone through EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, and Microsoft. We're going to take a break here. We're going to talk about Sony, Nintendo, Square Enix, and talk about some of the indie titles that were shown off, because that's one of my favorite parts. And we'll see, we'll break it all down and decide whether it's actually, we're looking forward to anything, or we're just going to brush off this year's E3 as a complete waste of time and move on with our lives. So, you will have some music, and we will cut out. So you are listening to Downloadable Content's recap of E3 2016. We'll be back. Welcome back to our E3 recap here on Downloadable Content. We're all still here. I don't think anyone has decided to invest in VR headsets.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. They haven't taken out a mortgage.
No, not quite yet.
You know, I was talking to, a few days ago, I was talking to April, my wife, about, all the VR that this particular E3 seemed like they were trying to push. And April's like, haven't they been trying to push VR for 30 years? And I said, yeah, VR is kind of like the Dippin' Dots of the video game industry. It's, Dippin' Dots, being the ice cream of the future 30 years ago. And,
but this time it's real, you guys.
This time, yes. Except I'm too broke. And I already get motion sickness from FPSs. I'm going to put on one of these VR headsets. I'm just going to puke.
And mind you, this is something that they're aware of and they're trying to design around. But it's still a thing that is possible.
Yeah.
So...
But be that as it may, we're going to dive right back into our recap here. So we've gone through the first 4. So we're going to open up the second half with Sony.
Kratos has a beard now.
Yes.
Yep, God of War 4.
And it looks like he's in Nordic area.
So
now.
It's more a reboot of God of War because
Right,
that game
is,
is
yeah.
really different.
I was gonna say, I thought it was a reboot.
Yeah.
Because the end of God of War 3 was kind of like, the end of the Greek civilization and the end of the Greek gods.
Right.
So
alert for anyone who played,
so he went to the Nordic countries to retire, and apparently that's not gonna happen anymore.
He's got a child now, but he's still really angry.
Yeah, I guess, and we don't know if the wife is alive or not. It's implied she's not, based on the fact that he says that the knife is his wife's knife, or not the wife. It's not even the wife. It's like the person he had a kid with. That the kid's mom is no longer alive because he gave the knife to him.
I feel like there's not going to be any continuity with the previous games.
I feel like
having an angry bald man.
Yeah. With these really weird tattoos.
Wouldn't it be really cool if the God of War series just became Angry Bald Man Goes Through Time?
I mean, that's kind of...
the end.
It's just
in a way, I
Doctor Who,
guess.
but really angry.
It's an angry Doctor Who. Like, this is what Doctor Who would do if he was not a Time Lord immortal, but it's some really angry Greek dude who just goes around and solves things with violence.
If the Doctor didn't have any scruples.
Not to mention that, from what I saw of the trailer, I don't think I saw the chain blades. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw an axe on the guy's back, but because I was having loading issues with the trailer, I saw he had the axe, but I didn't see any chain blades. So I'm thinking, is this Kratos? Is this not? And plus we have, I understand it happens in the industry, but to add fuel to the conspiracy theory of it's a reboot sequel, the original voice actor from the first 3 God of War games, and or at least one of the previous God of War games, will not be returning for God of War 4. So maybe it really is a complete reboot rather than some sort of a sequel.
My understanding is that it is potentially a reboot because this could be the time when he goes psycho nuts and kills his own wife and kid. But we're not sure of that. All we've seen so far is that it looks to be Kratos. He looks to be really old. Well,
older.
And he's in a cold place instead of the Greek, temperate area. Which is why I thought he was going to be in, the Nordic regions. And then he was then going to deal with Vikings and Valhalla and all the Nordic gods, which, if we follow the plot line of God of War, means he eventually causes Ragnarok.
Yeah, he's older. I think he and Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid 4 can do something together. War doesn't.
compare AARP subscription rates.
Yeah, basically. if you can get a good deal on bottled oxygen. So we had that, and we had, speaking of Hideo Kojima, we had his continuing love affair with Norman Reedus.
Holy crap. If that guy didn't have an ego before that conference, he does now.
Norman Reedus, we had a trailer for Death Stranding.
Which in traditional Hideo Kojima fashion makes no fucking sense.
Yep.
It said nothing, except there's some fish. And a
oil.
Questionable baby.
And oil.
And apparently his ass.
Now you guys are making it.
And handcuffs. And handcuffs. It sounds like a bad trip on an oil rig.
I think it sounds like a bad porno. You got the handcuffs, you got the oil, you got the ass, some sort. Where's the camera in all this?
I really want to know which side Norman Reedus is on. Does Norman Reedus really like Kojima, or does Kojima really like Norman Reedus? And did he know what he was going into motion capture on that day?
Plot twist, they both like each other and have gay sex on the weekends.
The end. But, I think the highlight of that was, after that, there was an Instagram photo of Kojima drinking something out of a mug, which had on the words Konami tears. And I'm just like, wow.
That entire saga is just incredible.
Just absolute trolling, all right, fine. Konami's gonna treat me like this. Well, now Sony is glad to take me. So,
yeah, for those who didn't hear this saga, he left Konami literally within the week. He's at Sony and says, "Hi, I'm working with Sony now, and I've already got an idea for a new game."
Haha. So, Kojima, and you're right. I mean, I saw this trailer, and it answers nothing. It gives us nothing. It's like, here it is.
The other thing is, he was going around doing interviews and stuff, and basically said he's still picking an engine to use, which means there is no video game, and there won't be a video game for a long time.
Yeah,
just here's something.
If he's still deciding on a game engine, that video is probably all that exists of that game now.
I mean, there is one silver lining there. He's picking a game engine rather than making his own, which would take another 20 years.
True. This is a true fact.
Small steps, Kojima. Small steps.
Yes, small steps. You're slowly getting there, man. Maybe within the next 30 years or so, when you're actually going to officially retire for the 70th time, that maybe you'll actually have a game come out and it won't take 7 years in development.
I'm calling it now. This game is going to be using the RPG Maker engine. So
I looked at all my choices. I saw Unreal. I saw Crytek, and I thought RPG Maker was the way to go.
What the heck?
You have Unreal Engine, you have Frostbite, you have
Unity.
Crytek.
Yeah. So we have that, and then I think going into development hell now. The Last Guardian gets a release date.
Hooray! They could not have showed that game if it did not have a release date. It has been so long.
The only reason they showed it last year was to show that, hey, yes, this game is still being made, only now it's being made with money by Sony instead of it being made by who was making Last Guardian originally.
Are they just called Team Ico?
I think so, but
yes,
they had a publisher.
Just called Team Ico.
Yeah, they're just named after their first video game.
Yeah,
yep.
But I think they had a publisher for the first time, and then the game went development hell, was probably canceled, and Sony said, "Hey, hang on a second, give you a shot of adrenaline here called Sony money."
It's like here. Well, so far The Last Guardian, it's a PS4 exclusive.
Which is fine. Again, that's how Ico and Shadow of the Colossus were.
This game has been in development now for almost 10 years. It was in development since 2007. It was supposed to be released for the PS3.
Okay, that probably explains why it still has a PS3 level graphics.
Yeah,
it really doesn't look graphic-wise that amazing, does it?
No, it doesn't. It literally looks like it was designed for the PS3.
When the boy comes on screen, you're like, whoa!
Yeah, whoa, dude.
That's 2007.
Yeah.
Hey, at least we're not having Brian's experience with Resident Evil 4 and that complete shift backwards of holy shit pixels.
I really, maybe they can turn this into an artistic stroke and benefit from it in some fashion, but I don't think that's
like try and pull a Minecraft.
Maybe. Maybe they can use that PS3 level graphicing to their advantage and have it be like a brush strokes and oil painting kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just
when you compare it to Zelda, which we'll talk about in a bit, it's just not comparable.
Yeah,
it looks quite bad.
It does, and I feel bad for the team because obviously they had a game here.
I just really hope whatever the gameplay actually is just incredible and it's an awesome game.
I hope so too.
It doesn't sell itself in trailers.
It doesn't. And I feel really bad for the team itself because these are people that just want to make like exploration platforming games and try and make the gamer think. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Wait, making a gamer think? You mean they can't just button mash their way through the entire game and somehow come to the you win screen?
Oh, if it could all just be QuickTime events with the flying dog dragon thing, that would be perfect.
Talk to Capcom about that. They've
and it's just like
10 years making a QuickTime game.
and
oh wow!
And I just feel bad for them because it's probably a smallish studio of like 40 people, and they're really passionate about it. But I think they had this is gonna be their third game, right?
Yeah.
And it's like
Wikipedia lists 4 games because they released a collection of the first 2.
Oh Jesus! And it's like Ico was this like weird but like short too. It was like a 3-hour game.
I never played it.
I never played it either. But like I remember being like it was a short game, but there was like a lot of like
it's a critically acclaimed game. It's
it is a well-reviewed poor sales game, and Shadow of the Colossus is a well-reviewed decent sales game. So hopefully, if they follow that trend, this will be a well-reviewed, well-sold game.
Whatever funding they've put in over 10 years, they're not going to get back.
Oh yeah, no, more than likely, I think Sony just gave them the money to say, "Hey, finish making your game, then close your studio and start."
At some point, this is just a PR thing to save face.
Yeah.
So that people stop asking where The Last Guardian is.
Exactly. Like I feel like this is Sony just giving them enough money to finish making the game, so they can close the studio and then go off to do whatever the hell they want or get absorbed into Sony itself. Like, would it surprise anyone the slightest if Team Ico starts working for Hideo Kojima?
And Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus is serious about games.
This is serious business. 2 games that actually caught my eye for Sony. Because, again, I'm the massive fan here. The Resident Evil 7 trailer.
Okay, Brian, I'm going to ask you this, and this is a serious question. When you were watching that trailer, was your first thought anything but Resident Evil?
My first thought was, the first thought was, this game actually, shows a good deal of promise. If they're going back to the original survival horror, aspect, I'm intrigued. My second thought was, So, did they just rip off the Silent Hill formula?
Yes.
It's not even Silent Hill. What they've ripped off is they saw PT.
Yeah.
And unlike Konami, Capcom actually worked out what to do with it. This could be a Resident Evil reboot on the scale of what 4 was. This could be really cool. And apparently you can play the whole thing in VR if you've got one of those.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, this game looks... Like, my first thought was, this is Silent Hill. And then they showed the Resident Evil, and I was like, oh, it's Resident Evil. A full Resident Evil, like, horror game in VR? Like, do they want to have the entire Resident Evil franchise, like, cream their pants?
I mean, Capcom has actually been really smart here in seeing how popular, like, VR demos on YouTube have been for horror, and this could actually be really incredible.
Yeah. Like,
or it could be awful.
Okay, this could be the first smart thing Capcom has done since getting rid of Inafune.
I mean, it certainly wasn't Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, definitely wasn't Street Fighter 5. That's for sure.
So,
the real question is Resident Evil 7 1,000 times better than that steaming hot pile of garbage called Resident Evil 6?
The evil giraffe sex.
Yeah.
God damn it!
The trailer, I got more satisfaction out of those few minutes than the dumpster fire that was Resident Evil Call of Duty. I'm very curious. This might be one of those games. If it doesn't come to PC, it might make me go, you know what? I might put this on the PS4 list.
It says it's coming to PC.
Then I won't bother getting it for PS4, but I will definitely...
PS4 and PC, which makes sense if you consider the VR angle.
So it's I am very intrigued especially if they're going back to their roots. I am really, really excited. I'm gonna wait to see more about it, and we'll go from there. I mean, this is the first actual trailer, so we'll see. We shall see what happens. The other game that caught my attention was a game called Horizon Zero Dawn.
So they showed that last year,
yes.
But it still looks really awesome. I'm very excited for that game.
They showed this last year, and it was like a cinematic trailer with some like alpha gameplay footage, and then they showed it this year with arguably like beta, like almost like silver level gameplay footage, where they're almost at the point where they're gonna start like bug testing everything, and like the gameplay looks solid, the graphics look pretty decent. The idea behind the game too is pretty solid. We're like beyond post-apocalyptic, humans have devolved back to like caveman status. Only instead of hunting woolly mammoths, we're hunting the thousands of
robots.
Yeah, out of control robots that are like thousands of years old, and our stories of legendary beings who lived in buildings of stone who lived in buildings of steel and glass.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
So
and it is 2017?
Yes.
Early 2017, I think.
Yes, so far we are early.
If you want to know when a video game is coming out, Ron, it's 2017.
Yeah, probably. Let's be honest.
And it's an action RPG, and again, this is a PS4 exclusive. So,
like this, I mean, when I first saw this last year, I had the feeling of like a action RPG Monster Hunter, and I still get that same feeling, but I feel like I'm more interested in this than the actual Monster Hunter series.
So I'm really, really gonna pay a close attention to this because, I still do not own any of the current gen consoles. I mean, I have a guideline for when I feel that I can justify buying the console. Once there are enough games out for a console that I want to play, then usually when the cost of the games that I want to play exceed the cost of the console, then it's like, okay, because I'm not going to buy a console for, 3 games.
Yeah.
So,
Oops.
Yeah, well,
that's my deal.
So, this is on the pay attention to list because I watched the trailer and I was very, very interested in that. It's made by the same studio that did Killzone.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the part that concerns me because I've never seen Killzone as more than a mediocre shooter. But maybe they'll be good at this.
And speaking of mediocre shooters, did anyone see that space combat game basic gun gameplay during the middle of that VR block that they had?
Call of Duty?
Yeah. I'm watching that, and this is in the middle of their VR block, so I'm thinking, hey, this is a VR game? With, some, decent, basic space combat? With, kind of on rails.
And then you realize it was Call of Duty.
Yeah, and then it gets to the end, this is Call of Duty? What the fuck? I thought this was a VR game.
This is why they're re-releasing Call of Duty 4, is because this year's Call of Duty does not look very good.
My original idea was that this was a VR game being made by Sony or some AAA company, and that this was their kind of first attempt at a shooters on rail VR with a little bit of space combat. And I was like, this looks interesting. This looks exciting. There's got some potential here. Sure, it's basic gameplay and basic gunplay, but if you're using VR controls, that's certainly understandable. Oh wait, it's Call of Duty? Never mind. Lost all my interest.
Wait a minute, this looks good. Oh shit! That's sort of, god damn it.
You tease me and then you reveal the price. Then you pull off the curtain and it's a hideous mask underneath,
No,
no,
go away.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
This is what happens when you decide to look.
Thanks.
This is what happens when you decide to look inside the glory hole.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you for that image.
Okay.
Moving.
So, I thought Detroit Becoming Human looked interesting. Basically, David Cage is making LA Noire.
I'll say we're making a sci-fi LA noir heavy rain thing going on now.
I mean, David Cage has a very up and down history, so I expect it to be awful. But the concept looks cool.
The concept is solid. Of you're a detective, or a robot detective almost, and you're gonna go around and defuse various situations. And the only reason why you can get killed off in certain of them is because you're a goddamn robot.
Well, yeah,
and
that'll
you're
happen.
literally mass-produced.
I thought the trailer though for that was interesting. You had androids trying to negotiate. There was I think it was a girl's life that was hanging in the balance of those negotiations.
Yeah, it's like a hostage situation with
So is this
android.
basically iRobot, the video game,
Yeah,
Kinda.
except no Will Smith?
Yeah.
that's probably a good thing.
A new IP, Zombie Bikers. Days Gone is the game, but yeah, it's Zombie Bikers.
Yeah.
How many post-apocalyptic Last of Us style games are Sony going to show is what I thought when that came on.
And this is my problem with the AAA developers. Somebody makes, somebody explores an idea, and then everyone...
About a decade ago, people realized zombies were cool again, and now everybody makes zombie games.
Yeah. Mind you, this is not just a AAA developer gaming thing. This is a media Hollywood issue.
Yeah.
Where they've been writing the zombies are cool.
Walking Dead.
Yeah. The only reason Walking Dead is well liked is because it's based on a goddamn comic book. And they translated the comic book decently well up until they literally ran out of content from the comic book and said,
So-
fuck it, we're going to make our own shit.
if you want to be filled with confidence, this is being made by Sony Bend, who have released such great games as the Siphon Filter franchise and the Uncharted portable games.
Admittedly, I did really enjoy the first 3 Siphon Filter games. So
like, there's a chance that this is going to be decent.
But that was over a decade ago, Brian.
I know that.
They released a good Siphon Filter game.
So like, and I thought the Uncharted portable game was decent. So like, there's a chance this is going to be a decent game, which...
This feels like Sony's giving them permission to try and make a big game after a long time of not letting them make their own games.
Yeah.
They also made a portable Resistance.
And silence fills the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and Bubsy 3D. Let's not forget that.
Oh, Christ. Why would you bring that up?
Because Josh likes to see people squirm. Insomniac putting out a Spider-Man game.
That could actually be good.
Yeah, which literally came out of nowhere.
No, it came out of, spoiler alert, Civil War.
True.
Yeah.
True. This is true. But, like, it's in the middle of a press conference of, like, a bunch of, like, Sony games, and then all of a sudden,
this is
you
the
get
game
Spider-Man.
they ended on. This was like their big finish.
Yeah, like it was literally there was like a bunch of like trailers, Spider-Man, and then gameplay of Days Gone. Like that's a really weird ending. I was literally expecting them to go like, "Here's Days Gone. Thank you for coming." And then like some random person walks on stage and it's like a really big name, like I don't know, Nomura walks on and says, "Oh, hang on, I got one last thing for you guys," and then shows Kingdom Hearts 3, and then says release date of like August 9th of 2016.
Let's all be serious. Kingdom Hearts 3 is never coming out.
Yeah,
it will come out. Damn you, Joshie! It will
Spider-Man.
come out.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 was an awesome game. So as long as they get the swinging right, it could be a good video game.
It could be. I mean, yes.
In all seriousness, if they get the Spider-Man 2 web mechanics, and then like that's really all they need. Like
and
everything
this
else
is made by Insomniac. This isn't some questionable developer.
Yeah, this is a company that kind of knows what the hell they're doing. So I'm willing. So that I am tentatively excited for it.
He's cautiously excited now. And then it was just like right before, because the Sony press conference was going on since Pacific time zone. It was going on in the early evening there. It was getting on toward like 11 p.m. here on the East Coast, and I'm like, I need to go to bed. So
that thing was on at 3 a.m. here. I didn't even try.
Yeah, he's just so. Then I wake up, just before I went to bed. I see the Crash Bandicoot. The first 3 Crash Bandicoot games are getting a remaster for the PS4.
That was really hilarious because for some reason everybody has decided they want a new Crash Bandicoot. And what they got was a remake of the first 3 games and Crash in Skylanders, which I don't think is what anybody wanted.
And I'm like, okay, you know what? The first 3 Crash Bandicoot games, all right, they are they're 20 years old. Okay.
Remaking Crash Bandicoot was perfectly fine. Him being in Skylanders, I'm not so sure about that. And
it worked so well for Spyro.
Yeah, I did like how they set it up though, where like he walks on the stage and it's like the Crash Bandicoot like sounds and video.
Everybody is screaming and going mental because they think he's going to announce a new game.
Yeah, he's going to announce a new Crash Bandicoot game for the PS4. And it says like, oh no, sorry, we're just remastering the first 3, and he's going to be in Skylanders.
Like silence.
Yeah,
and then
there's in the background, kind of like clapping, going, "Okay, I'll take my $10 now, please. Thank you very much."
So he says, "Oh, we're remaking the 3 games," and you're thinking, and then the big conclusion is Skyland.
It's just like,
and everyone has blue balls. It's
yeah,
and Andy included apparently because he's just there, just fell silent.
I don't know. See, my thing about Crash is that I've never played the original games. But what I always found fun.
They're on the PlayStation Network. I mean, they're.
I don't buy. You'll notice I don't buy online games. I prefer my physical disc copy. But
I'm sure if you have a PS3 with the PS1 backwards compatibility, I assure you those games are not very expensive on eBay. They're okay.
Yeah, well, I don't have that PlayStation 3. But anyways, what I was saying about Crash Bandicoot is that the one game of it that I played and loved to pieces was Crash Bandicoot Racing. And so that's the closest I have, but I still loved it.
Crash Racing is an excellent game. I played it before Mario Kart, so I actually think it's better.
Well, so I actually ended up buying a couple of the original Crash Bandicoot games on the PlayStation Network back when they were doing some sort of sale last year where basically every PS1 game was 99 cents.
Now that's a good price for Crash Bandicoot.
So I'm just like, I'll take that Crash game. Oh, there's the original Resident Evil. There's Dino Crisis.
I'll take that for $1.
Yeah. Xenogears wasn't worth it. But... So yeah,
so that was basically Sony.
Yeah, that was basically Sony in a nutshell. Yep. And then we move on to Nintendo, or basically just Zelda.
Okay, let's talk about Zelda.
Hang on, 5 seconds here. They showed 30 minutes of Pokemon gameplay for Sun and Moon coming out later this year. Fantastic. Cool. Let's go to Zelda.
Zelda looks bloody amazing.
You know,
until as Brian put, all the purists are now going to riot because they've made him now right-handed.
Okay, well, let me correct you a little bit there. Link was right-handed in Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword.
Because of motion gameplay.
Because of the motion gameplay. However, I do legitimately know people who are that level of Zelda purist that they did not play Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword for that exact reason, that Link was right-handed.
It's fine, because when they release it on the NX, they'll probably mirror it again.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing I observed watching all the Zelda footage and all the Zelda gameplay.
No one better be poor. Think of all of the rupees hiding.
Okay, I had 3 thoughts. 1, we're going to burn down Hyrule because of all the survival footage, like in the forest fires that they were going to cause. 2, this looks more like a survival game than it does like in a normal Zelda game. It's
got crafting, it's got armor, it's got temperature.
What's
hell?
Yeah. So, and here's number 3. And here's the biggest thing. Here's the biggest thing for this game. This game looks done. Why am I not playing this game right now?
Because they want you to buy an NX, and I guarantee, because they haven't given exact dates yet, that the NX will come out before the Wii U version of Zelda. That's what they did with the GameCube.
I know that's the reason. And here's the thing. Supposedly, the NX is supposed to come out 2017 in March.
We don't know what it looks like!
Yeah, we don't know what it looks like. There's also rumors that they're not going to actually have it come out in March because they may want to try and upgrade the hardware so that they can do VR. So Zelda looks done, but the reason we're not going to be playing Zelda for another year is because they want it on the NX. And the NX may not even come out in March of 2017 they originally thought it was going to do.
It won't be a year. It will be 6 months or whatever. But
no, bullshit.
So
I'm calling bullshit.
Just one anecdote from the Zelda footage, because just go online and look for GIFs. Every one of them are amazing. But there's just this one where Link jumps off this really large cliff, which, by the way, he can now scale cliffs and stuff. But he falls this ridiculous drop, slams into the ground, and in Zelda, he ragdolls down this hill and into a pond where he drowns. This is Zelda that has ragdoll physics.
Like, again, Joshie, you're only reinforcing my point. This game looks done. How are we not playing this game?
Good. I don't care how long I have to wait. I cannot wait to play this game. This is the winner for E3. There's no questions asked.
I don't think. Okay.
Nintendo literally did not have to bring another game.
Okay, I'm going to argue with you here because Nintendo. If Nintendo brought another game, like Mario,
they did. It's Pokemon.
Okay.
Wait, where's my popcorn?
I
need my popcorn right now.
I win!
If they
Defeated! Destroyed!
Damn it, I need my popcorn.
Oh, good
If they brought another game in development that hasn't already been announced and confirmed and has a release date. Like, they could have shown up with goddamn Mario Party 13 and said,
they did.
This is coming out next year.
Okay. I will give you a legitimate answer to that argument. So what I suspect is happening here is basically an entire reset of Nintendo's development teams.
Oh yeah, no, I know that's what's going on.
They've shifted. They've always had this problem, especially since third parties stopped supporting them, that they're spreading their resources across two platforms. They have to support the handheld and the consoles, and it means they just can't produce enough games. They have amazing teams, but they've caused their own problems. With the NX, and if all the rumors about that are true, they're consolidating everything into one console, which means they've got all these teams developing games for that console. And what they must be doing now, and why we've got this bizarre gap between now and March of basically no video games from Nintendo, is they've reset themselves and they are producing everything for the NX.
Okay, here's the thing then. Here's what I want to see happen. They go to Tokyo Game Show in September or something, right? Like late September for Tokyo Game Show. I want to see Nintendo have a press conference, a legitimate press conference, a 3-hour block press conference. Hour 1, here's the Nintendo NX, whatever the fuck it's going to be called. Here's what it can do, here's what it can look like, here's its capabilities. The remaining 2 hours are new games. I want a new Mario, I want a new Zelda, I absolutely agree
that when the reason they're not doing it now is they're not ready, clearly, to show the NX.
I know.
When they show the NX, they better have game after game after game. Otherwise, they are not selling that console.
I literally want to have them go, here's Mario. We already have Zelda. Here's a new Metroid. By the way, it's going to be a fucking fantastic Metroid because somehow you fucking Western people... Yeah. For some reason, you Western people really like Metroid, so there's a new Metroid with a solar system you can explore. Here's a new Pokemon game. It's going to be a console game, by the way. And here's 5 new IPs that we're going to be releasing all day one.
I mean, the interesting thing with Pokemon...
Let's throw in a Fire Emblem while we're at it.
Yeah, Fire Emblem.
The interesting thing to think about with Pokemon is Pokemon's always been their handheld thing. They're not going to have a handheld.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to make a real Pokemon for this console.
Yeah, that's my thinking. Is if they go to
GameCube had Pokemon Coliseum, and
they've always had weird console spin-off things.
I think
they've never made a real one.
I think we're talking about a full-blown Pokemon game like Pokemon X and Y, for example, but for the console.
Actual Pokemon RPG, the next one after the 3DS is no longer sold, is going to have to be for NX.
Yeah, and Joshie, imagine for a moment, just pie in the sky idea. The next Pokemon game is you are a Pokemon trainer. You have the entire world open to you, and by that I mean You can go. You start off in. You can start off in Johto. You can start off in Kanto. You can start off in the goddamn islands of the new game forever you want. And your goal is to just explore and beat the ever-living shit out of all the gym leaders, all the trainers, all the old champions, and just be the goddamn king of the goddamn Pokemon world. And like,
so
that's the whole point of the game. It's just to be the number one trainer.
This new open world Zelda game they're showing off, you want that in that fidelity, but you want it to be Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that would be amazing.
And like, you can't tell me that no one would buy that. So like,
everybody would buy that.
Everyone would buy that. You remember the little GIF video of like the Wii's making money, and they're doing like the little hand motion of spraying money out and just fanning the money out. Like that's what they would be doing with the NX.
No, you forgot one catch. You forget the one catch to Pokemon. You're gonna have to have 2 games to encourage some sort of bullshit trading. That's been the theme of every single goddamn generation.
But here's the thing, though: they can encourage trading because they can have it be a console with more storage, therefore more capability for online gameplay,
and if the rumors are
and some goddamn decent net coding.
But if the rumors are true that it's this weird console handheld thing, you could still go away with your handheld bit and trade with people. It still works.
Yeah, and like, if it's going to be that like cell phone holding thing that can play the game, and then you can go on the console and for like all your major storage.
Now, if we're talking if we're talking going that level and catching, are we talking every single Pokemon that's ever been created? Like you have that capability?
Like they go to a Pokemon, like the Pokemon game would like, just to make the math easy, 1,000 Pokemon, which means they add another 150, 200, or however many they add.
Right.
But like a new continent and the entire world being connected by a train, plane, automobile, whatever the hell you want, and like you just go explore and fight trainers and get gym badges and just beat the ever-living shit out of every single Elite Four that there were in that game.
I like the idea, I'll tell you that. The only thing is at least with all the new expansions, and I assume this will probably did they introduce new Pokemon for Sun and Moon? I haven't been paying that much attention.
They are introducing some new ones.
Okay, I kind of figured that because I just recently started up White, courtesy of my brother's copy. Yes, I know I'm way far behind, but what I've noticed is that they will actively push is that because I started back, I didn't play the actual games, but I've been with Pokemon since the beginning, at least, or when the anime started, and of course, then the very early games. And for me, I've always wanted to catch the old Pokemon. And what I've noticed about these new games is that they basically save those old Pokemon to like near the very, very end of the game, if you're lucky, and force you to go with all the new Pokemon. If they were to release this open world game like you're talking about, how many people would go and try and catch all the old Pokemon and then not give a goddamn flying fuck about any of the new ones?
Well,
which
what they
is
can
something
do
that Nintendo does not want.
Yeah, well, what they can do is they can just say, hey, go through the game normally on the new continent like we normally do, and then when you beat the Elite Four and become the Pokemon champion of that region, you then go, Professor Oak shows up and says, hey, I'm going to upgrade your Pokedex, and oh, by the way, because you're the Pokemon champion now, you have something called a free air pass. And you go look at the air pass, and you go to the airport, which is in like generic city of that location, and then you go to the airport, and then you open it up, and it goes to every single other region. And you fly to every single other region and proceed to beat the ever-living shit out of all the Pokemon trainers, all the gym leaders, and all the Elite Fours in those regions.
Alrighty, well, hopefully we'll see that. I mean, but yes, but all the focus was on Zelda. Nintendo did quietly put out some other bits of news that wasn't just Zelda. There are actually 2 games looking at, because they did their big Zelda thing, and then they did their Nintendo Treehouse event, in which there were 2 games that caught my eye. The first was the next Paper Mario game, Color Splash. And I have actually been a big fan of the Paper Mario series because I just love how creative and how tongue-in-cheek and actually pretty funny these games can be.
I'd actually missed that. That's very exciting
So
for a new console Paper Mario game.
yeah, it's a Wii U game, so I'm like, holy shit, Nintendo is still actually making Paper Mario game, and well, making Wii U games actually, which is shocking. And the other, there's the trailer for you, Joshie, for the Paper Mario Color Splash, and the other game. This is a new IP from Nintendo called Ever Oasis. It's a 3DS game. And it's being made by the guy who invented the World of Mana series.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going to have to jump out now because I've run out of time. But thank you very much for having me on.
Fine.
Hey,
Yep.
that hit Joshie's yearly appearance. Thank you much for being on, and we will go the rest of the way. Have a good one,
Yep,
Josh.
it'll be down to you guys in about 5 minutes. I'm going to be jumping shortly. but we'll
Everyone's
finish.
leaving.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Yep.
Cheers.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya. So Ever Oasis, which is there's some definite ancient Egyptian influences in it, and it's got my attention because again, Nintendo new IP.
Yeah.
Well, what I've noticed about Nintendo, at least on my personal opinion, is that the stuff that they release for their handhelds, usually, not always, but at least usually seems to be better than what they're releasing for their consoles. Because right now I'm trying to save up a few dollars because Fire Emblem looks good. Final Fantasy Chronicles, that's just me being a Final Fantasy fanboy. And then some of these other titles that I don't recall off the top of my head, but I'm seeing these lists that they're coming out for the 3DS, and I'm going, ooh, those sound good.
Yeah, Nintendo's never had a poor showing on the handheld. It's just getting their consoles to sell is the issue.
They are kings of the handheld everything because Vita, what the hell is that? And the DS, the Game Boy, the whole family, they just win.
That is true.
That Nintendo has no problems in that regard at all. But in this new game, Ever Oasis,
I wonder if the reason why it's always been strong with the handhelds is because Nintendo, being a Japanese-based company, still to the best of my knowledge, unless there's been some radical shift in that, from what I understand, the big thing in Japan is all their cell phone games and everything. So that's certainly another form of being a mobile game. So maybe that's why they're so strong with all their mobile content, is because Japan is the land of all the mobile games.
Well, part of that's due to the fact that there's 50 million people living on top of each other in Tokyo. So there's comparatively speaking, for the Pokemon games, where sometimes you get some people playing Pokemon in America, whereas in Japan you literally flip open your 3DS and half the other people on the train ride are doing the exact same thing you are.
Yeah.
Which is playing Pokemon.
Right.
So there's no lack of space or people in range for you to combat, trade with, whatever.
Right.
And the same thing goes for their mobile games, just because that's what their market has moved to, because it makes the game developers there more money.
So who else saw the title that they gave the new Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, and immediately thought, is this a Dragon Quest game?
My thought, it's funny,
Sounds like a Dragon Quest subtitle.
This is going to be an exploration-heavy, survival-focused Legend of Zelda, I think.
Kind of like the early Zelda games.
Yes,
yeah,
which is what I thought the thing was that they said at the beginning of the thing, this area harkens back to the very first Legend of Zelda, and my idea was that this first zone that we're in, that they showed off in the demo, is the updated version of that entire first map of the Legend of Zelda.
That's fine. I mean, I'm sure you got to watch all of the gameplay footage that they showed off.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Again, like Joshie said, this game looks fantastic. So it's just, well, my complaint is, why do we not have it yet?
It's funny that you bring up that this new Legend of Zelda could be like Dragon Quest, because I'm looking here for 3DS, I don't think it's new. I think it's maybe I don't know what it is. I'm just seeing it says Dragon Quest VII: Fragments of the Forgotten Past.
It's the PS1 Dragon Quest.
Yeah, it's the PS1 Dragon Quest is getting remade and redone and re-overhauled for the 3DS.
Okay, so that's what that is.
People who made Dragon Quest 9 are remaking 7. So
yeah, because Dragon Quest VII, good game, long game.
I'm noticing that about a lot of the Dragon Quest games.
Long game. Oh my god, Dragon Quest VII on the PS1. It's easily 90 to 100 hours at minimum.
Damn.
At minimum.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was a lot of content in Dragon Quest VII.
Oh yeah.
Like probably too much.
Possibly. So other bits from Nintendo, the 3DS is getting a new Mario Party game.
Not surprising.
It's called Mario Party Star Rush.
All right.
But again, because Nintendo didn't have their big flashy press conference, and also, again, little no Iwata, but so we've got Zelda, Pokemon, the Paper Mario game, which I'm curious about. You should actually check out the trailer for that. It looks very cute. It looks like your classic Paper Mario style of gameplay, and another one for the Wii U pile. As we start to wind down here, I mean, yes, Square Enix showed off a few things, but outside of Final Fantasy 15, it was like, okay, the end.
Well, they've got another. It's not coming out for any consoles. I guess it's a mobile game is the best way to phrase it. The Final Fantasy Bravious thing that's coming out.
So again, another in the Final Fantasy 15 umbrella.
Yep.
Which it seems to me, and I could be wrong, and I kind of hope I am, that Square seems to be putting all of their eggs in the Final Fantasy 15 basket.
I don't think you're wrong. I think they are
putting
it all in the basket.
Well, we still have okay, it's already out, but there seems to be that new IP of well, it's not new at this point, but the Bravely the Bravely franchise, we'll just call it, because that's actually pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
but
that's good too, but like it's a handheld and
right. Okay, we're talking actual console games here.
Yeah.
So, did any of you happen to take a look at some of the indie titles that were announced at E3?
Well, we've already established my opinion on the indie titles. In other words,
I did not look at them.
Yeah, so, Andy, you can have a nap for this portion.
In fact, on that note, I'll say, all right, guys, it's been great. I got to head out at this point.
All right, Andy, before we go, I just want your opinion. Who do you think won E3?
Who do I think won E3? Not Ubisoft. It's a tough call, but normally I would say maybe Sony or Square Enix, but I'm thinking maybe more Microsoft. Microsoft seems to have just edged out by just a little bit.
Okay.
Well, alrighty, Andy. Well, go do what real life wants you to do, and thank you for being on. We'll talk to you later.
Yep, later, guys.
All right. So now it is down to just Ron and I to wrap this up.
We've eliminated the scrubs. Now you get the real hard-hitting content of downloadable content.
Now it's down to downloadable content unplugged.
But
so okay, the indie games now, and again, indie games is something that you have to look for. We already brought up a couple of them. Josh brought up we brought up We Happy Few.
And then there was the Fee game from
EA.
EA.
There was another game it's coming out for PS4 and PC called Abzu, which basically is you are exploring environments under the sea. It looks actually very pretty.
This was it Eco, the freaking Genesis game all over again with the dolphin?
No, you're a diver.
Oh, okay.
We had a PS4 and PC indie game called Aragami, in which you get to play as the role of an undead assassin with the ability to control shadows.
All right. This sounds like a D&D character, so...
We have a online multiplayer melee fighting game called Absolver.
All right.
What was another one that jumped out to me? This one might appeal to you, Ron, being the illustrator and artist that you are.
Alrighty.
It's called Manifold Garden.
All right, Google, tell me what this Manifold Garden is. Besides sounding like a weird piece, like a car made out into a garden centerpiece.
It's a puzzle game.
Alrighty.
But have a look at the art style. It's like if MC Escher made.
Yeah, this is okay. So is MC Escher the video game?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen enough. Like, this is kind of interesting, but it's MC Escher.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why Death Stranding is considered an indie title, but alright.
Technically, Kojima Productions is like a 30 studio crew.
Fair enough.
But it is indie in the sense of a small studio. It is not indie in the sense of star power or skill level.
Fair enough. Let me go back to my list here. There was another trailer for the next Supergiant game, Pyre. That was
which is like a multiplayer game too, I think. Multiplayer has an option because it's like 3 or 4 people you can play as.
I don't recall actually, but I brought up Absolver, just a little bit more about it. It is kind of think Jade Empire.
Okay.
That sort of thing. I said Azu Manifold Garden. We have a game that's going to come out on Xbox One, PS4, and PC called The Long Journey Home. It's a space exploration RPG.
Okay.
It's from what I saw of it, it kind of reminds me a bit like FTL.
Yeah, only not the roguelike part of it, I guess.
There's some influences. I mean, you're trying to find your way home, so you explore planets, you talk to aliens. There is some resource management, moral dilemmas, permadeath.
All right.
Because any game with permadeath. Then we have a game called Eiter, or Eater, I don't know. It's EITR is how you spell it. Definitely, it's like definitely has that, sort of pixel graphics, but it's an isometric view, kind of like, say, Bastion, like 2.5D view. Definitely is definitely inspired by Dark Souls.
Okay.
And Norse mythology. We've mentioned this before, Tacoma, which is the next game that's being made by Fulbright. That was the studio that put out Gone Home. So there's some more work that's been done on it. And that's pretty much the standout ones, the ones that caught my eye. I know E3 tends to be more about the AAA titles, but there's some indie titles that are worth looking at. Some of them do wind up getting released. Some of them are still in development because, that's how indie studios sometimes works, especially if you have a very small skeleton crew.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
And that was really it for this year's E3. So, I mean, overall, not a whole lot for me to get really excited about, but But some of the things that did show up, a few gems, some from Microsoft like ReCore and Resident Evil 7 for Sony.
Like, just looking through from what was talked about and what I remember, like, EA has eventually
Fee or
sometime
Faye. Yep.
the Fee and Mass Effect. Bethesda, I guess Dishonored 2 if you like the first one. Xbox had We Happy Few, Scalebound, the Recore game. Nintendo had Zelda and Zelda.
And Zelda, yeah.
Sony had Horizon Zero Dawn, Last Guardian, Resident Evil 7, Spider-Man. There's a couple of good games to be excited about. Okay, and then like I asked Andy earlier, like winner of E3. For me personally, if Nintendo had shown more games, like games that are either in development or stuff like that, or stuff for the other console, I would have said Nintendo, mostly based on the strength of Zelda. But because they showed only Zelda and really that's about it, I can't give them the win, even though Zelda is game of the show. Zelda is easily far and away E3 game of the show.
I have no argument here.
But I can't give them like the quote-unquote winner of E3. For me specifically, I'm giving Sony the win, if only because they just went from game to game to game to game to game with like maybe 5 minutes combined of talking, which was like the intro, talking about Crash Bandicoot remastering, introducing Hideo Kojima to show off Death Stranding, and like that was it. Everything else was like gameplay footage, trailer, compared to like literally every other conference was 20 or 30 minutes of someone on stage talking and trying to explain their game to you and then showing the gameplay or footage.
I think for me personally, if we're going to, give, a winner to anything, I think if we go, I think Bethesda, just nothing there.
Yeah, like again, like compared to last year where they had 3 games, but the three games were all really excited, hypeable. This year's was like more games, less substance.
Yeah. So, I think for me, it goes, 1-2 goes Sony and then Nintendo.
Yeah, like 1-2 is like Sony, Nintendo, and then everyone else fights over third place. I don't give a care.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was a couple of things interesting that from Microsoft, but I think, Zelda is of everything that was shown at E3. Zelda's was probably one of the oldest franchises there, and Nintendo has shown and continues to show why Zelda is still just solid.
Yeah, like. And like again, this isn't my issue. It's like Zelda has proven time and time again that this is a game that people love. They love the story, they love the gameplay, they love the artistic graphics of it, because the graphics they show are obviously chosen for an artistic purpose to convey the styling and emotion they want to incur while you play it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily where we are going to pick a style of graphics deliberately to show off how shiny this console is, or pushing the boundaries of
technology. Yeah, compared to Square Enix, which is what they tend to do with Final Fantasy. But like, they are very deliberate and very careful with how they treat Zelda, because they know it's like one of their big money makers.
It's one of their biggest, crowns. It's one of the biggest jewels in the crown.
Yeah, and if not the biggest, and I'm trying to think of a game that I would say is bad. That's a Zelda game, and that's like been made by Nintendo. And the closest thing I can think of is Majora's Mask, and that's more so due to personal issues I have with Majora's Mask. You could argue Zelda 2, like the NES Zelda 2,
mm-hmm.
but that's just more so a departure away from what Zelda 1 was, and people just couldn't like convey or process that in their head at the time. Whereas nowadays, I think it's fine because they were trying to experiment a bit with it.
Yeah.
Whereas since the SNES, like Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, I like Twilight Princess. I think personally for me, my favorite game in the Zelda franchise is Twilight Princess.
Very good game.
There's Wind Waker. There's Skyward Sword, which I had issues with. That's more so due to the motion controls than anything else. And Breath of the Wild looks done. Why are we not playing this right now?
Only Nintendo knows, apparently, so I don't know. So, overall, this particular E3 for me was largely forgettable, with the exception of a few bright spots, but I don't own the current consoles, so there was not.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for a reason to plunk down the money to invest in an Xbox One or a PS4. And,
not gonna happen.
And by and large, I did not see it. If anything, Nintendo made a case for me to plunk down the money for a Wii U.
I honestly say wait on plunking down money for Wii U, because Joshie and I are suspecting the Breath of the Wild is going to be on NX. It's going to be a launch title.
So we'll find out, because at the moment there are more games that I want to play on Wii U than there are games for PS4.
Yeah,
that I
mean, PS4 has Horizon Zero Dawn.
I'm a little bummed that's an exclusive to PS4, because that looks really amazing.
Yeah, like the entire E3 this year is sort of a continuation of E3 last year, where we had these really amazing games in development, but they're not going to come out this year. And some of these games were shown off last year and were supposed to come out this year, and they're not going to come out this year. And so it's kind of like, you're stringing us along. Well, eventually you're going to have to release something.
And by that time, you kind of lose the hype that you've built up.
Yeah.
Which I'm hoping doesn't happen to a game like Mass Effect Andromeda, because we've been hearing about that since Mass Effect 3, and it's like,
yeah,
come on.
Well, like, again, that's an issue with Mass Effect 3. Was like, the game ended, and they stuck to their ending for good or for ill, and it kind of pissed off the fan base.
Well, you know my reasons for thinking that the fan base kind of overreacted, but...
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah. But at this point, though, I mean, you tease a game for so long, eventually the interest is going to die.
Exactly. And we're getting to that point now with Mass Effect, and we're getting to that point now with Dishonored and
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah,
it's just like,
play Kingdom Hearts 2.8. I'm like, really?
Yeah. It's like you have let us on for about as long as I feel most of the gaming community can handle. You need to release this game by next E3, or there's going to be some problems.
Your sales are going to suffer, but
yeah.
Or I could be completely wrong, and they're going to make money hand over fist. So,
yeah, again, we don't know. It's just from what we see. So,
but there you are. So, if you out there in the wide world of the internet have any questions, comments, weigh in about E3 on this or any other episode, you can let us know on our website, www.dlcpodcast.com. You can, again, check out every single episode, find out when we are doing future recordings, send us feedback. And one additional thing that I'm actually going to announce that I now just remembered. Sign-ups are now open for Character Battle 17. These are character battle contests that I have been doing for the last 12 years now, kind of in the style of a single elimination bracket. what you do is you go and make a free contest entry. You make your bracket. Think of it kind of like March Madness. You make your own bracket, pick who's going to win round by round, and when the contest actually does start, people will, the internet votes on each particular battle. If you're correct, you win points, and at the end of the contest, if you have, first, second, or third place, you will win a prize from me. So Ron here is a multiple-time champion of these character battle contests.
Some of those wins being literally come from behind, like called shot from fucking 3 miles away, hitting the bullseye. Yeah,
and one of your contests, I think you were like, you had almost one of your wins was like, you had like almost perfect. You had an almost perfect bracket.
I have had almost perfect brackets, and I have had almost shit brackets, except for the fact that I predicted the winner, and the winner was such a long shot that no one else had predicted it.
Yeah, so the themes for each contest are different, and so for this contest, it is indie games. So it's 64 characters from I think 58 different indie titles. So if you want to check out the contest and, enter it, you have until July 9th to enter a contest bracket, and all of the information can be found on the DLC website. All you have to do is near the top of the webpage, there's a little button that says More, and below, and if you click on that, a little drop-down menu says Character Battle 17. All the information is there for you to make your absolutely free entry. Doesn't cost a thing to join, and make a bracket, have some fun, and hopefully you will win a prize, including, up to potentially getting a free video game of your choice. So that's the prize. I hope you enter it. If you have any questions, again, get a hold of us and we'll answer them. So I think that is it. So all it remains for me to do is to thank Joshie for his yearly appearance.
Yeah, we threw him back in cryo freeze. He was starting to kind of lose some body parts there at the end, so that's why he left early.
He left early. He has to go back with Miyamoto. So, Joshie, Andy, Ron, I am Brian, and once again, have a good one, everyone!